Hello, guys. Welcome back to Community.tm podcast. I am Kiara Armstrong, and you are tuning in to the Community Pink Room podcast. Welcome, all. This is season 1, episode 2, Becoming Attentive. This is another one of my favorite topics because I'm just going to turn up the volume a little bit. Okay, so I can hear myself. Okay, there we go. So this is one of my favorite topics. There's a bunch of my favorite topics, but this is one of them because I feel like, yes, we are getting right into it. I feel like becoming attentive is like what can really help us in this world. For example, we're dealing with a major climate crisis right now. And if we were attentive to the red flags, if we were attentive to the signs, if we were attentive to the fact that I live in a climate where it's like, or an environment where it's like summer, spring, fall, and winter. So it snows. It actually snows. And then the leaves fall and, all of that good stuff. Summer it's really hot. But like summer and winter. So as I was growing up, which was in the 90s, later 90s, mid 90s, there was a lot of snow. There was heaps of snow. And when you knew it was snowing, you just knew it was winter. It was cold. There was like a lot of white snow. The snow plow would come. The snow guy would plow the streets, and it would just be really nice. And I really loved winter. I really still do love winter. I'll actually hang outside. I don't mind walking in the snow when the sidewalks aren't even plowed yet. Like, I love winter. And I love putting on all the layers, and I don't know, it's just so beautiful too. Like, snowflakes falling from the sky. Like, I don't know, it's remarkable. But so my moral of the story is that there was a lot of snow growing up, and then we moved here, and it's not because of our new location. We're kind of still in the same area code or vicinity of where a lot of snow happens, but there has been a drastic change in how much snow is here. People do say it's because of the location. I think I've heard that once or twice, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so we're a little bit this way, so that's why there's not that much snow. But I'm starting to think, and I'm starting to know that that's it. There's a bigger reason as to why there's way less snow. Back in the 90s, snow used to come, like, I don't even know, like, I was still like a young girl, but like, let's just say snow came maybe after Halloween, so like November kind of ish, it started to snow. But when it was Christmas, like, it was snowing. It was like you had like, you just knew there was snow outside. And like now when Christmas is here, around those times, so like the end of December, there's no snow. Like, it's cold-ish. It's not even like as cold. Like, I can get away with wearing like a fall coat all the way like up to like the second week before December ends. Like, it's that's what I just remember. Like, it's not even like how it was in the 90s. And then it's like, I don't know. Moral of the story, I'm kind of a climate activist, but moral of the story is that we have to become attentive to these things, or else we're kind of doomed. We would let a lot of things slide by, and we wouldn't be really making a lot of solutions, and or we wouldn't really, be giving ourselves the opportunity to see clarity, because we'd always be kind of delusioned by what was being given to us, which is kind of another thing and a bigger topic in society that we deal with. But I want to kind of focus on realizing patterns, what's happening in our world, listening to the responses from others, being very mindful, reading between the lines, taking in red flags and following our truth, our instinct. These are all things that I've actually learned very, very strongly within the last 5 years, or even like 4 years. Some of these things, the last 2. But yeah, so I want to focus on being attentive, because the thing with being attentive is that you're not only like being nitpicky to everything that happens, you're kind of just allowing for you to become aware of what's really going on. Because us as people, I do believe that especially like me and what I realized with my siblings, we have a very open heart. Me and my family, we have this open heart, and we kind of allow for a lot of mistreatment, if you will, to be done to us, and we'll kind of always rationalize it and be like, oh well, this is kind of like how it's supposed to be, or like this is like, you know, this is okay, when really it's not. And we have to become attentive. We have to become attentive in order to kind of have our backs. You know what I mean? So this is something that I've had to do a lot, because being someone who's spiritual in this world, you can't really let too much things slide. It's like you will naturally have this sense of like, or like this intuition of like what the moment actually is. It's just if you follow through with it. Sorry, one sec. And so, for example, I wanted to talk about realizing patterns happening in our world, and I kind of wanted to bracket in like deja vu and just like patterns that happen. Like, so with deja vu, it's actually kind of fun to have deja vu, because you don't really know what it means at first. There's been lots of times where I try to Google and like get to the depths of what deja vu means, and I'm still kind of like speechless on like how to describe it. But I just know that deja vu kind of can be like a reset. It's like deja vu of how I've experienced it, and I believe how others experience it, but how I've experienced is that you'll be in a place and there will be like this moment where like you just realize, hey, I've been here before, or like I've done this before, like, and then you'll kind of like let it play out, and then like the same things that you've done, the same way that you move your hand, the same way that you picked up something, it like the deja vu prolongs for like 5 to 6 seconds, and then you're like, yeah, I definitely lived that before. And then so I would get a lot of deja vu, especially the last year and a half. Every time I go into work, I'd get deja vu. Like every other shift, I'd get deja vu. And it came to the point where it was like, okay, I'm understanding that this is where I'm supposed to be, but how I used to take in deja vu is like, this is a reset. So whatever I did before, I'm kind of given that moment again to relive and change some of the stuff that I did. So it's like from this moment on, whatever I'm doing, I have an opportunity to change what I did not like, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that's fully how deja vu works, but that's just how I took it in. So whenever deja vu would happen, I would just do that. And it did help, that having that mindset and having that, being that attentive and being like, okay, this is a new reset. Whatever I do, these actions really matter in how my future will be. So then, say I got the same deja vu 3 times. That hasn't happened, but I'm assuming that I would still have to refine the actions that I'm doing. So that's a little bit on deja vu, just how to be attentive, just like, being consciously aware of what you're doing, and kind of maybe seeing deja vu as something, as an opportunity. I don't even feel like I should tell you how to interpret your own deja vu, but like, that's just how I did, and that's just how I become more attentive with what I do and how I live my life. And like patterns, that can be patterns within relationships, patterns within how you treat yourself, patterns with, anything, your personal life, your work life, anything like that. If you see patterns, whether they be positive or negative, follow on to those, look deep into those, and really think, okay, are these patterns I like? Are these patterns I don't like? because that all ties into how your life will be remembered, how you will remember your life, how you will feel about your life, is how much you allow patterns to happen. Now, if you're having very positive patterns, which is like, oh, I realize that like every other month I'm gaining this new trait that I like about myself, or like, I don't know, I realized that I'm in this relationship with this individual, and I realized that they are taking steps to better our relationship, like patterns like that. Like, those are things that are really good to be aware of. And I feel like growing up, just being younger, there was a lot of patterns that I guess I didn't really know were important to take into consideration. I just thought that they were happening, and then they kept happening. Nothing like bad. It's just like, elementary stuff, or like, just like anything really, like patterns. I don't know, patterns with how people treat you and things of this nature. It's just like, be wary of those patterns, and then start to analyze if these patterns are helping you. And even with yourself, like, I feel like a lot of it is also not just how people treat you and how people go about their day, but like the patterns that you treat yourself. Like, are you waking up every morning and being like, I can't do a bunch of stuff today, so that means I cannot succeed? Or like, you know what I mean? And then you wake up next week and then you say the same thing, and then you say something like this, I'm not beautiful enough, so like I don't deserve to be seen by the public, or something like that. Certain things like that, like patterns that aren't that healthy, that are quite negative. Those are patterns that we have to watch out for. And any like body shame, anything like that we do to ourselves on a regular basis, we have to really look at those patterns that we're doing, and we have to change them. It's kind of like, it's reminding me of like actually recording. Like, if you're recording a song and then you play the same note, like, I don't really know music talk, but like if you're playing the same note like every 10 bars, let's just say, like, it's gonna add up, and you're gonna constantly be hearing it. Oh, every 10 bars, every 10 bars. It's like gonna be like a routine. Every 10 bars, every 10 bars. But if you like look at that bar and be like, okay, I don't want that bar. It's like, it brings negative vibes. It's not really helping me on a higher scale. Or like, this person is bringing negative energy. This person is not trying to help me, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Then you need to change that bar and become attentive of the fact that that bar is there, and then like work towards changing it, so that the next 20 bars will be different, and it will make you feel good, because you are attentive now in your world and in your reality of how things make you feel, of who makes you feel certain ways. And I think that's a big major thing. I feel like even me, like, I'm still like going through that, or like at least last year I was going through that hefty, where I was like, okay, it stops now. I'm starting to be more attentive to how I feel, because that's just giving myself respect, and respecting my reality, respecting my experiences, is being attentive to how I feel. And it kind of ties into the last episode of Becoming Alive. It's all gonna be one good soup, one good pot of amazing soup. I'm a foodie, so of course I would reference soup to that. But you got your lentils, you'll have all the ingredients, and then it will be an amazing bowl of soup that you can have. So being attentive is important. The deja vus, the patterns, everything like that. And then listening to responses from others and being mindful. I feel like going back to like my spiritual journey is like, people will do certain things continuously. Not because like, they're trying to, really bother me, or whatever the case may be, but it's just because that's just how life is set up, that they'll keep doing the same thing to me until I say, hey, I don't like that, or hey, thank you for doing that. Like, I really do appreciate when you do things like that. It's just listening to people's like responses, and being like, aware of those and being mindful of what they mean. And it's like, yeah, reading between the lines. Sometimes people, and I used to be this, I don't know if it's the same, but like beat around the bush. But like you have to like read between the lines and like really see what someone's intentions are so that you can be, you know, aware of those situations. I feel like the only thing that pops in my head right now is like if you're in like you're meeting someone new, you're kind of going on dates, da 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 da, and they're saying a bunch of nice things and you're like yes 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 so nice, like whatever, but then you realize that like, oh, they only want to be with you for like 2 years, or they only want to really be in this for like 6 months. You have to like become attentive on their actions, you know. Maybe they might, I don't know, maybe they might say something like, yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, just here, and then maybe like in like 8 months I might just, you know, go somewhere else or move or like, I don't know, they'll do something to show that they're not on the same page as you, say that you're trying to be with someone for like the rest of your life type of thing, marriage and things like that. So you kind of have to just read between the lines, become attentive. People just have different intentions that they themselves have not addressed, that they know, like they might know a little bit but they don't know how to like tell someone that that's their intention. So sometimes you just have to be attentive to that before it kind of like, you know, becomes so in your face that you can't really, that it hurts you, you know what I mean? It's like, just be ready, give yourself the opportunity to see the truth before the truth, like, what's that word? Before the truth, like, just pops in your face, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna kind of hurt if it's that way. You kind of want to be attentive in this world and people's intentions, right? And that kind of ties into red flags. I dealt with a lot of situations where there were red flags, and like that's like, I honestly, I take full I take responsibility. I take responsibility on how long it prolonged. These are like anything, like relationships, meeting new people, anything like that. Like I take responsibility on, this is like family, anything. This, I take responsibility on how things planned out because I was actively being there, going back, But I feel like when we see red flags, we need to take, and I'd have this conversation with my sisters, and that's when I was really like, red flags, like we're taking red flags as much as we're taking green flags. Like, what I mean by that is like, red flags are like things that like make us feel confused, you know, aren't really aligned with our morals, you know, but they're there. But we're saying, okay, that's a red flag that person just did for me, but I'm gonna just allow it because I feel like they do like 5 other things that are green flags. But really, in essence, that one red flag can be so like big on like our mental sanity, or like just so big on like affecting us, that we need to take into the consideration that one red flag. I'm not saying that you need to meet someone who's just all green flags. However, I am kind of saying that you need to meet people, be around people who are even like willing to work on their red flags. Like even me, I could have been like a red flag to someone. Like I could have done something that was a red flag to someone, but like I work on myself so that I know my red flags kind of are like turning to green. But to say, if someone is not working on themselves and then they're just having these random episodes of like red flags, those red flags can really deteriorate you. And I've been through that, and oh my gosh, that was like the hardest thing, because it's like I realized those red flags, but I didn't take them in as I should have, the green ones. And now I'm here feeling like at a low vibration in my world, because at the end of the day, we do deserve a really great life. I strongly believe that. I believe that we each deserve to have a very nice, peaceful, full, whole life. And just make sure. And with that being said, we need to be aware of red flags, and how the red flags and all of this kind of ties into how I was talking about the weather is because we have a lot of red flags. Like, I take into consideration that it's a red flag that it doesn't snow anymore. Like, it doesn't snow. I don't even think, like, even the last 2 years it snowed till after Christmas. Like, it was cold, but it didn't snow till after Christmas. Like, Christmas Day was cold, but there was no snow. So I take that as a red flag. I take that as a climate issue. And that's kind of what I mean by being attentive to these things. Because the more that we sit by and we're just like, oh, it hasn't snowed till since it hasn't snowed last till 1970. I think that's a red flag. You know what I mean? And I think we just need to not beat ourselves down for not realizing this stuff sooner. Like, I think that's just how society is. We kind of are really forced to watch things that really don't mean much. Like, we have commercials on like burgers, we have commercials on like get your nails done, we have commercials on get your hair done, we have commercials on like all these pills. And I don't even watch TV like that, but I'm just labeling, like, for example, like certain things that are always in our view, or like what we are seeing, just really not important things. But like the very important things are kind of like nowhere to be found. So we're not really thinking that it's a problem that it hasn't snowed how it used to in the 90s where I'm located. But we're becoming more attentive now because people are bringing to the forefront, look at all of these records of atrocities that have happened on this planet due to the environment and where we're headed in the future. Now that that's into the forefront, a lot of people are paying attention to that. We're not just paying attention to the little knickknacks that we do during the day. We're now bringing to the forefront these very, 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 very important topics and issues. So it's all about being attentive. It's all about seeing red flags and being mindful. And I love being mindful. I even think that I really love how the word is because you're just, being mindful has actually helped me a lot. Being mindful is kind of like, I see what happened, I see what this situation is, and I know why it happened, or I'm gonna work towards seeing why it happened. And a quote that you can actually take for being more mindful is like, don't ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what is this teaching me, or something like that. That's what I kind of use. So like, say your friend falls on her rollerblades and cuts her foot open, and there's no one around, it's just you to help her. It's like, or like, that's a bit too much. Okay, let's say you're, I don't know, I'm trying to bring it down a bit. Let's say okay, let's say you win a potluck, you win a watermelon, but you really wanted the banana. And then you're like, oh, why did this happen? Like, instead of saying, why did this happen to me? You could be like, what is this, like, teaching me? The reason why is because maybe your body just needed some watermelon. Maybe your body just needed some extra healing. Watermelon is so good. Seeded watermelon is so good for your body. And so you should really take that into consideration when that happens. Just be like super mindful. And even if you don't want the watermelon, say you're allergic, so you're like, why did this happen to me? I'm allergic to watermelon. Maybe who you're with, or maybe someone outside you can give the watermelon to, who like was searching for a seeded watermelon. Like, they went to 6 stores and they couldn't find one, and then they see yours and they're like, oh, where did you get that watermelon? And you're like, I just wanted the potluck, I don't want it. Like, you know what I mean? Things like that. So it's like, I don't know, being mindful as to like why things happen. I do believe that there's a lot of things that happen to us in the day, and we just kind of let them like go by, like, no, this happened, but really take in why this happened. Like, this happened in your reality for a reason, a higher reason. So if you can in some way, muster the time, muster the energy to kind of think highly of like why this happened, I think that you can come to a lot of conclusions, a lot of answers, and a lot of solutions for you in your world and for others outside as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and like, say, oh, this happened to you because of this reason. But if I'm connected to a person, I know a person well, and, we're speaking on something in the present, I could be like, oh, I feel like this happened to you because of this reason. And that's like being mindful about it and being attentive of why certain things happen to us so that maybe we can change them in the future. We can, uplift ourselves for next time and certain situations like that. And I'm just going to briefly touch on following your truth and instinct. For me, I couldn't even really tell you like what instinct meant to me when it came to relationship. It was like, what does that mean? Like, follow your instinct. But I realize now that like I knew so much. I knew that, hey, I shouldn't have been in this relationship. I knew that, oh, soon this is gonna end. Like, I had like certain instincts that would happen, and I'd never really gave those the credit that they deserve, those instincts, and I was just kind of like letting time go and da 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 da. But then after, when everything went down, I was like, wow, my instincts were right. Like, they helped me, and they were kind of like telling me the future in a way. So it's like, follow your instincts. Like, that's underrated. Like, if you don't feel, or if you feel like this will happen, or if you feel like this is what you should be doing, or like this is who you should love, or like anything like that, follow your instincts. Like, your instincts will eventually lead you back to who you truly are. How to activate your instincts, I feel like anything that like go, I don't know, go places and just like be like, like, whatever draws to you first. So if you go to a store and you're like, oh, I really like this like rose, like this is what I really like, but then like you turn the corner and then you see like a soap that is like orange, and then you like get that, like, just get your first instinct, get what your instinct was really pushing for, and get the rose like soap. So that's kind of like a little example of like following your instincts. We just have like these senses in us that like are on point. So just honor those. Sometimes it can be confusing, but don't stress yourself. Live and learn. That's how I'm able to even speak about this, is because I went through like a year of kind of seeing my instincts but not really tapping into them. And so now I know, like, instincts all the way, like 100% instincts. So yeah, that was the series and the episode on becoming attentive. I hope that helped. If any of you want to be on the future podcast in the seasons, you can go on the community Instagram page, which is at community.tm, and you can go under the highlight, which is called contact or join, and you can send me an email if you want to join. Anyone in the Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, Oakville area can be on the podcast, and I have spaces in each season for guests. So if you have a topic that you want to talk about, feel free, shoot me an email, and we can hopefully be on the podcast together and talk about your topic and connect and allow for self-evolvement, self-growth, self-love, and that'll be a lot of fun. Feel free to share, like, comment, leave a review, what do you call it? Leave like, I can't forget the word. Just leave, if there's something that you guys want me to work on for next time. And yeah, I'm very thankful that you guys tuned in to this episode. I hope you loved it. Hope you learned something from it. Hope you're healing, discovering, and thriving. That is the vibration that I send you. Lots of love, and stay tuned for season 1, episode 3, Becoming Successful. Thank you guys. Have a glorious day.